just wanted to introduce Ralph, and I think it's important to understand the context and his background. Ralph and I just decided that we've had offices two separate from one another for 25 years, and Simon Fraser and Ralph that's his laboratory, the Biological Rhythms Laboratory, and he is a world authority on biological rhythms, having to do with issues like sleep and travel and how all those affect athletic performance. Some number of years ago, I realized what a goldmine Ralph was, and I tried to involve him in another sport, and it didn't go particularly well because they didn't really respect what we were talking about. And he gave us a lot of expensive equipment that took us a long time to get back. And so I was looking for an opportunity to think about how I could involve Ralph again in the sport, and through Rick and the sports science staff and Martin's approval, this was the opportunity. And so one of the things that's crucial for me is that, you know, there's a lot of work being done these days on rhythms and sleep and so on, and a lot of, like, the Canucks use a consultant, and they have, you hear about mind gyms around the world. And I guess one of the differences for me would be that, unlike a lot of us who work as consultants, actually, Ralph Misselberger is the source. In other words, if you go, as Dana did on the weekend, you find that there's hundreds of publications in journals that represents Ralph's work on biological rhythms. So he's the guy, he's one of this group of world-class scientists who the consultants go to figure out what to ask their questions. And so in some ways, for me, it's a real privilege to have him here today, because we're really talking to a guy who's the source of the information, not just to read about it. He's that guy that actually sits in the lab and does the research, and I'm really pleased to have Ralph here today.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, it was the wheelchair rugby team that we tried to do a little work with, and you know, I think that they were interested, but it was the athletes that I think were a little less organized, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm a basic scientist, and so my natural inclination is, when I want to talk to people, is I prepare an academic lecture, and I figure, well, even if they don't respond, at least I can use this with my students. So that's sort of what I was doing this weekend, was preparing this presentation for you guys. So I want to tell you about the biological foundations of chronobiological applications to sports. And some of this you're going to know, and some of it perhaps might be things that are new to you. So I'm going to talk first about just a couple of slides on illustrating the point that time matters. I mean, the ultimate, there's a lot of biology that we're going to talk about, but at the end of the day, you want to know, does it matter? Are there any chronobiologically related sport outcomes that would lead us to believe that we need to be paying attention to chronobiology? So I'm going to show you just a couple of slides that illustrate the point that, in fact, chronobiology does matter, makes a difference in terms of outcomes. And I want to focus on the reasons why it matters. It matters because of these things called biological rhythms, and also because of the effects of sleep on performance. So I'm going to talk first of all about sleep and sleep loss and the benefits of extra sleep, and what kinds of recommendations I can make